Sahana bhavatu Sahana bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. 71 or 235. Ishvaro vastu tatvajnaha
Ishvaro vastu tatvajnaha
na jahanteshvavasthitaha
na jahanteshvavasthitaha
na jamadstani bhutani
na jamadstani bhutani
ityevameva vyachiklipat.
ityevameva vyachiklipat.
Yeah, Ishvaraha vastu tatvajnaha. This is a verse which is recapitulating or reiterating the verse, a couple of verses from the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And what is it? Holly, you are directly in line of the camera. I cannot see you. Can you shift a little bit this side? Thank you. So, Ishvaraha, much better. Ishvaraha vastu tatvajnaha. Vastu tatvajnaha means knows the truth of the vastu, of all things. What all things? There is only one thing, which is Ishvara. So, knows, the one who knows everything, the all-knowing one is Ishvara. And then Naja Aham, and after creating the universe said what? Naja Aham Teshu Avasthitaha. After creating the universe, Ishvara said what? In the form of Lord Krishna in the 9th chapter, Bhagavan Krishna says, I have created everything. Yes, no doubt. But I am not in any one of the things that I have created. What? Just now we said that everything is Ishvara. Yes, but Ishvara is not any one thing. This we have to understand. Yeah. This is where Satyam Mithya becomes a big mass of misunderstanding, missed perceptions and misperception. Because that Satyam and Mithya is not properly understood. Mithya, which is this creation, is not a thing, but it is a reality, it's a truth claim given to all these objects which constitute what we call the Jagat, the universe, including this body, mind, sense complex. That is what the word Mithya stands for. Mithya is the reality claim, it's a truth claim, it's not an object, it's not the name of an object. It is the truth, the reality word, Mithya. Means what kind of a reality does this universe have? The universe is dependent upon that conscious, sentient, timeless, endless source of that sentience, which is manifest as the whole universe, and it's dependent upon that. So everything is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Sat, Chit, Ananda, same thing. Any single thing, from a rock, onwards, you say it is not devoid of the presence of Ishvara. Yeah. That's why we don't even make a difference between sentient and insentient. I mean, in a sense. Because everything is Ishvara. It's not that only sentient things are Ishvara and insentient things are not Brahman. They are also Brahman. They are also Ishvara. Same thing. Then what is the difference here? Well, the sentient and insentient difference is just a matter of whether that sentiency is what we call sentiency, or that conscious, the ability of awareness, to be aware, to be self-aware and to be aware of the Jagat, of what is around you. Is that ability latent or manifest? That is what is the difference between the sentient and the insentient. Very interesting. So the rock is also Sat Chit Ananda. It is Chit. It is got sentiency, but it is unable to say, I rock. It's unable to say that. Why? Sukshma Sharira Abhavat. Because it doesn't have the subtle body. There is no subtle body, it doesn't have the means for it to say. Like similarly, you see, that's why nowadays there is a huge the debate in the medical realm on what is a permanently vegetative state. And this permanently vegetative state, people who are also called sometimes suffering from what is called the locked in syndrome. It's not that the sentiency is not there, of course it is there. You know, and we have seen so many legal battles over whether to end such people's lives or not, especially if they have not made their wishes clear. They don't have, what is that called, will to live? No, living will. Living will. Same thing. So, they don't have the living will, or it's not understood by the relative. They have not expressed to any of their relatives what they want if they are in this situation. So it leaves the state has to come in and then decide, and it leaves everything because people don't know. And just yesterday I read in the news, very interesting piece of news, that this man has been in a vegetative kind of a coma for 12 and a half years. Okay? Again, no living will, they didn't know what he wanted. And when he went into a coma, he was 31, so he's 43 now, I suppose. And finally, thanks to certain MRI, that magnetic resonance imagery technology, he is able to communicate with the doctors. This is so fascinating.
Yeah.
This is so fascinating because that subtle body, if it's affected, so the thinking process is affected, everything is affected. So you may as well be like a vegetable. That's why it's called vegetative state. You may as well be like a rock. But that chit, now because of certain technological advancements, is able to express itself. At will, he is able to light up certain waves, in the monitor. And they are even able to ask him questions, are you in pain? And he said no, he is not in pain. But he is there, given up for dead, given up, completely lost all hope. But he is able to communicate. He is able to communicate a lot of basic things, not in the way that you and I communicate. Not, like, oh, would you like to have tea? Or, how people in the world communicate. No, this is a very different way. So that means what? That, maybe in the future, if we found a way to attach or some kind of a subtle mechanism to the rock, imagine what kind of stories it will tell.
Yeah.
And you say, oh rock, tell me your life story. First thing it will say is how much time you got. I'm 12 billion years old. I was a dinosaur, then I was a tree. Now I'm just an old fossil. So how much time you got? It's going to, this is really fascinating. So really the sentient, insentient is only from the perspective of the sentient. The insentient cannot even say I am insentient. That's the whole point. Correct? And so here too, this whole world, that which has a subtle body is able, that sentiency is able to express itself. And the subtle body is always in keeping with the gross body. It's also, that is another thing about the subtle body we have to understand. It's in keeping with the gross body. Like the frog body will never have a human mind. Never. Or the human body will have a frog mind. Worse. Can't take that person out anywhere without them, Yeah. Snacking on everything there with the help of the tongue. So, maybe such a person will become a microbiologist. Who knows? So, frog buddhi may be there from other janmas, from other lifetimes. We do not know. But frog, what? Frog body, he will only have frog mind. This is the intelligence of Ishvara. So the subtle body is that which is called sentient, the one that has a subtle body. But even whether it is sentient or insentient, the Sat Chit Ananda or Satyam Jnanam Brahma Anantam is there in everything. So there is nothing in this universe bereft of Ishvara. There is no thing in the universe that is devoid of the presence of Ishvara. Without the presence of Ishvara, nothing can survive. Ishvara is like the oxygen to all the mammals in the universe. So without the oxygen, nothing can survive. So similarly, the presence of Ishvara is the only presence, this Brahman, Ishvara, one and the same. So this only presence in the world lends itself to all the things, shines them up, lights them out, that there is only one source of light. Like a disco ball in the middle of the room. How many? It may have many shapes and colors, myriad of colors and shapes, but it is powered by one light. Like this one presence alone powers up this entire universe. So you can say that any individual discrete thing in the universe does not have a being without that presence. But then you can't say the other way around. That Ishvara is the Jiva. You cannot say that. Ishvara is the rock. You cannot say that. Rock is Ishvara. You can say. Plant is Ishvara. Lily is Ishvara. Rose is Ishvara. Flower is Ishvara. Tree is Ishvara. You cannot say Ishvara is the tree. What will happen if Ishvara becomes the tree? Huh? What will happen?
Ishvara will go through modifications, changes.
Yes, okay, we'll take this, we'll take this one by one. Ishvara will be subject to modification. Ishvara will be subject to being felled, because that which is subject to being felled is a tree. What else will happen if Ishvara becomes tree?
Not trees, not Ishvara.
Tree is Ishvara. Ishvara is not tree. So what will happen if Ishvara also becomes tree? Huh?
Limited.
Ishvara cannot be tree and flower and everything. In order for Ishvara to be any one, all the things in the universe, it cannot be any one thing. Yeah. Nothing. No thing is able to be called a thing. Listen carefully. No thing is able to be called a thing without the presence of Ishvara. And that presence, that sentient presence, is a presence that cannot be any one thing. It's a limitless presence. Follow? Mm-hmm. Yes? No?
Yes.
Don't say yes if you mean no. Sometimes I say yes nonetheless. But this is not one of those times. Yes? No?
Yes.
You want me to repeat it? No. So therefore, he says, naja matsthani bhutani. Matsthani bhutani means in me everything is. Because without me there is nothing. But I am not any one of them. I cannot be any one thing because I am that which powers everything. It's like Ishvara is like electricity. And then you have this jiva, that lamp, this lamp, all these various lamps. And then you have the computer which is being powered by the same electricity. Then what else do you have? The water, which is the water is being powered, being powered by electricity. And then you have what else? What other sources? You have the garage door which is being opened by electricity. What else do you have?
Heat.
Yeah, you have heat in the winter also by electricity. So that same electric current manifests as the light bulb, as the garage door, that mechanism, as the heat, as the, electric stove over which you make your, oatmeal. This is all this is. But can you say the electricity is the bulb? No. Can you say electricity is stove? No. Can you say electricity is one small thing? No. What is it? It is that which powers all names and forms. Itself is nameless, formless and infinite. Yeah. So Ishvara, or that sentient consciousness, is like electricity. All the various objects in the universe are like the bulbs, the various kinds of lamps, chandeliers, stove, anything that is powered by electricity, that electricity is one or many, one electricity goes through these various names and forms without taking on any name or form for itself. Itself continues to be electricity and yet powers all these various names and forms. That's all that is meant. That really is all, And so, Ishvaraha Vastu Tattvajnaha. Vastu Tattvajnaha means electricity. No, it doesn't. No. Just checking to see if people were listening. So, Vastu Tattvajnaha means all-knowing, the one who knows the truth of everything. Nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. I am not in any of these beings as me. I am not there, meaning my presence is there. My presence is there. But my nature is what? Not that thing which I power. Whatever I power, I am not that particular thing. Okay? And then naja matsthani bhutani. And then no beings are located in me. Imagine if Ishvara was a big kadhai. Kadhai means, hey, you go in the rural India, there is this 2-eared cauldron, big cauldron. And they have like a vat of oil, hot oil, which is probably seen many firings underneath. It's been used and used again. And this is breakfast food in North India, okay? Then you have white flour, with a little bit of, in olden days it used to be saffron, but now saffron is very expensive, so now it is orange color. A dough is there with a little bag, with a little piping hole, so out of which the dough has to come. And then the assistant is, making these big glasses of milk. And it's called, or chai, whichever you want. And it's called mile-long chai. Why? Yeah, it is horizontal chai. So you just go like this, so fast they do it. It's espresso. They make that, it's manually made espresso. They create all the bubbles, and the same thing they do with the hot milk. They may add a little, few scrapings of badam, almond, to call it almond milk. And then and then there is on another stove, there is sugar syrup, correct? And then this man, his name is Halwai. Halwai means the one who makes halwa. That's all, maker of this halwa. He takes the cloth, dips it in this dough. The cloth has a hole in it, and then he makes various quickly. It's really worth watching. This artistic squigglery in this hot oil. And then it has to be constantly turned. This orange donut comes out with squiggles, and immediately it has to be transferred to the sugar syrup. Okay? This is breakfast food along with a big glass of milk. So now, so if Ishvara is the cauldron and these little squiggles are the various funny looking jivas, imagine that kind of a logic, that because then there is a kind of a relationship with the universe. So there is Ishvara who is related to the universe, much like the cauldron is related to those squiggles, also called jalebis. Can you see that?
Jalebis.
Yeah, jalebis. Something not to have when you go to India. Unless you want to have a heart attack. So don't have that. So these jalebis, you can even buy them here, I suppose. Vishnu, you can go and see them. Yeah. You can see what they are like. It's really quite an experience. So then you have this cauldron, which is Ishvara, and Ishvara becomes the receptacle in which these squiggly jivas are floating around in the primordial oil of ignorance, in the oily slick oil spill of ignorance. These jivas are floating around, amassing calories. This is not a very good logic. I'll tell you why. Because the non-duality gets compromised. Why? Because there are two things, the receptacle, the holder and the held, right? So the holder and the held, if there are two things, then what happens to everything is one? Gone. Yeah. Non-duality, nashaha, destruction of non-duality. Non-duality, bye-bye. That means what? Then the universe, then we have further problems. The universe becomes as real as Ishvara, a parallel reality to Ishvara. Then Ishvara must be having the world's biggest headache. Why did I make these people? Why did I make these idiotic, samsaric universe? Why did I do this? What was I thinking? Ishvara will have the world's grandest migraine. Yeah, this is what will happen. So therefore, any kind of an explanation, you cannot have this holder-held explanation. It doesn't work. Because what is our understanding? Our understanding, all this is Ishvara, and then Ishvara is not any single thing. Ishvara is that I, which is Sat Chit Ananda. Ishvara is like the electricity that powers everything from Christmas light to, electric stove to washer, dryer, door opener, everything. But that electricity is not the washer. Electricity is not the dryer. Electricity is not any one thing. So you cannot have the holder-held metaphor. You have to have, Ishvara has to be in our understanding. It has to be firmly untethered from anything that it supports, anything that it upholds, again within heavy quotes. You know why? Because otherwise there will be a supported relationship, which means there will be two things, not one. This is what is the problem with Dvaita, the dualism. So we don't accept this dualism because all that is here is one Ishvara. And that Ishvara is manifest as though manifest, because the manifestation and neither the manifestation nor the manifesting power is as real as the presence that upholds the manifestation. Got it? Just say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the manifesting power is as though, the object of manifestation is as though. What is the only Sat? The subject. That is the only thing. That it does not, the non-morphing aspect. The non-morphing is the truth. That which morphs is as though. That which morphs is also Ishvara. A morphing Ishvara, a manifesting as a dynamic, moving universe. The universe is not devoid of Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the universe. So, this I have nothing to do with the universe, Ishvara will say. I have nothing to do with it, because you cannot say, oh God, did you create? Yes. Why did you create? I did not create. Very, very wily. If Ishvara were a lawyer, nobody will be able to defeat. So, that is, let us see if we have covered this whole thing. Yeah. Nacha aham tesho avasthitaha iti evameva vyachiklupat. This is what Bhagavan, declared. So, that is the whole thing. And then, of course, then we have a aruchi in the mind. Aruchi means something is unsettled. What is unsettled? But what about this universe? How can you say this universe is, if Ishvara is Ishvara and this universe is the universe, and then the universe is Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the universe. What is this, the status of this Jagat? That one is tackled very beautifully in the next verse, 236 or 72, if you are following the book. Yadi satyam bhaved vishvam
Yadi satyam bhaved vishvam
sushuptavupalabhyatam
sushuptavupalabhyatam
yannopalabhyate kinchit
yannopalabhyate kinchit
ato satsvapnavanmrisha.
ato satsvapnavanmrisha.
One more time. Yadi satyam bhaved vishvam
Yadi satyam bhaved vishvam
sushupta upalabhyatam
sushupta upalabhyatam
yanno palabhyate kinchit
yanno palabhyate kinchit
ato sat swapnavan mrusha.
ato sat svapnavam mrisha.
Yeah. So if this universe is as real as Ishvara, if this universe is real, if it's really there, then yadi means if, satyam, real, bhavet becomes or is, were to be, vishvam, this universe, sushuptau upalabhyatam, then it should be available in sleep. Is the universe available in sleep? This is a carryover from the last class. Yes, no, maybe?
No.
Okay, now it's a unanimous no, see? Universe is not available in sleep. Why? Because the observer has collapsed into a causal state. There is no observer in sleep. There is no observer of the sleep also in sleep, correct? Because the observer of the sleep is where? After the sleep has taken place.
And yeah, the universe.
Hold it. Yeah. So after the sleep has taken place, the observer of the sleep says, I slept so well, I don't know anything. Correct? So the observer is in a very causal form enough to observe the sleep, but later, upon waking, it's a recalled observation. It's a recalled experience. But in the sleep experience, there is no duality, which is why everyone loves to sleep, hates to wake up, think about it. Everybody wants this non-duality, and the only way to have it is quickly go to sleep. Yeah. That's why Vedanta classes become very important hubs for sleep. Because there truly you are one with everything. You are lulled into a state of oneness. Yeah. Only problem is you are not there to enjoy it. Later on you say, oh, what happened? So, if the universe is real, then it should be available in sleep. Yat na upalabhyate kinchit. Because in sleep nothing is, evident. The state of sleep is where nothing is evident, correct? And then what? Swapnavat mrisha. So the waking, this is a big, it's a very big proclamation. It's from the Mandukya Upanishad, which is not without reason taught the last thing in a long course of study, because it is difficult to assimilate. What does the last portion says? The last portion says, is the universe available in sleep? Everybody answered what? No. So if the universe is not available in sleep, it is as unreal as the dream. Oh, how can that be? Oh no! What's going to happen to the bills? What's going to happen to all my life? What's going to happen to these things? Is my monthly paycheck mithya? Yes. Is everything mithya? Yes, mithya. And this is where there is, you feel like spitting out the Vedanta gum. This is where you feel like it has lost. You know how when you have chewing gum, and in the beginning it is very sweet, right? Yeah, and then after that it becomes very bland. And then at some point you spit it out. This is when, in the beginning of the study, you feel like spitting out the Vedanta gum. Why? Because it goes against the grain of what one knows. What is this one? The ego, the ahankara. The ahankara means the I notion, not the I. Of course, the I is there. Part of the I notion is the I. But the one that has separated itself as a discrete entity which is in relationship to this universe. It has a lot of stock invested in seeing the universe as real. Because otherwise it will be out of a job. What will it do? What will it do? It will just be out of a job. Nothing to argue, nobody to argue with, nothing to do, nothing to, because it's a reality. Understand? The ego's reality, the ahankara's reality is on the same reality of the universe. They are on the same order of reality, the ahankara and what? The universe. They are the same order of reality. So if you say the universe doesn't really exist, all there is this I, because if it really exists, it's as real as I, it should be available in sleep, it is not. Then the poor ahankara feels like it's been put in acid. It's melting, it's upset. Because if the universe is not there, that means what? The ahankara is also falsified. This is why this Upanishad is taught at the very end. After the person has settled down to this understanding, and after the habitual orientations have had a chance to be delinked from one's personhood. The habitual orientations are what? I am afflicted, I am bored, I am tired, I am subject to upset, all bad things are happening to me. These are the habitual orientations, correct? I am not loved, I am not wanted, I am not, counted, I am abandoned, nobody cares about me. And then plus there is all this other hopelessness. Oh, what is this life going to do? What is the teaching going to do? What is anything going to do? This is the jiva. This is what the ego is guarding. It has several fires to mind, and it is stoking these. Yeah, it has several fires. Each one fire of hopelessness, one fire of this, one fire of that, and it is stoking each one. It keeps on stoking. It has several irons in several fires, and it is keeping on. It has all these agendas because it thinks of itself as it's a very kind of a catch. Some 20. Catch 22. 22, yes. I always say 52, I don't know why. So, this catch 22, it has separated itself, or it thinks it is separate because of it doesn't know itself. Self-ignorance has made this ahankara separate itself from Ishvara, from the source of the whole, except in sleep, of course. But then, what does it do as a result? Because of this separation, it's a paradox that it maintains the separation while wanting to dismantle it. Yeah. So sad, no? Yeah. It's like I want to be unique. I want to be the only one who is there. And I want to be separate. I want to stand out. Okay, stand out. Oh, but then I'm standing outside. I'm alone. Help. It's like, let me in. Okay, come in. No, let me out. Like a cat, in the winter. If you have a cat, it'll scratch and it'll meow. So you go open the door. Do you think it's going to come in? No. 2 feet will come in and the tail will be twitching like this. It's almost like they have an unwritten rule. Make sure all doors are open. But once you get them open, you don't have to go through it. You can keep it open. It's like this cat. It will be standing there, So the ahankara is like that, neither in nor out. Do you want to be, do you want to be the whole? Yes, I want to be one with the whole. I want to understand this. I really want this. But then I won't be there. Where will I be? You are Ishvara, you will be Ishvara, but that's not so much fun. Ishvara is very boring. No, I want to be by myself. Okay, no, but it's so lonely. Okay, be with everybody else. I don't like anybody else. So this way, it's the paradox of it is that it gets itself, the ego, the ahankara, the I notion, gets itself into an impossible situation. Into an impossible position from which it is very difficult to dislodge. It's really caught. And how is it caught? On the one hand, it wants to stand out as separate, and at the same time, it wants to end the barriers and separation, and it seeks to be non-separate with everything in the universe. That is what is the whole thing. It wants to unite with everything in the universe, with people, with events, with situations, with things. It wants to become one with everything. But it wants to retain the itself. It's like that. I've told you this story that they have prophesied. Prophesied means predicted. The physicists. And what have they said? They have said that our galaxy, what is its name?
The Milky Way. Our
Milky Way. And then there is another bigger galaxy, Andromeda, next door, meaning several thousand light years away. Okay, yeah, next door in terms, it's all perspective. And this Andromeda, it is coming closer and closer and closer to the Milky Way. And then you have a galactic collision. And the way that happens is these galaxies are spinning balls of all kinds of, light bodies and planets and stars and suns and everything. And these two spinning bodies collide and they unite, they merge into one. Correct? And in the middle of each of these galaxies is one bada black hole, big black hole. And the black holes merge and then these spinning arms fall in place and then it just becomes one galaxy. Meaning what? Milky Way, bye-bye. Why? Because Andromeda is bigger. That's why. So then they had asked a question at the end of this article. Where should you sit to have the best view? It's like this separated jiva saying, how should I experience Ishvara? How should I experience Brahman? I want to be the experiencer of you. Everything you experience is Brahman. Idiot. No. I want to be the experience. Where should I sit in this merger? This is what is the lot of the jiva. So therefore, this last part, where if there is no Jagat in sleep, that means there is, just like when you wake up, you falsify the dream. When you wake to the truth of yourself, you falsify even the waking state. Because that's why we say 3 states of experience, correct? What are they? It's important to list. Waking, dream, and then sleep, deep sleep. Okay, dreamless sleep. Now, my friends, very subtle thing is this, that we are very good at rattling these 3 things. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. But it's always we have a partiality to the waking perspective. Admit it. Don't you think that the waking state is more real than the sleeping and the dreaming?
Yes.
Vivekachudamani will say that is incorrect. Because if there is only one single conscious entity that is inhabiting these states, then what is the only reality? Is that of that conscious entity who is neither dreamer, nor sleeper, nor
Waking.
this has to be understood and assimilated. Because as long as I prioritize the waker over the other two, then I'm stuck in my own little time warp. So if I'm stuck in the time warp, I can't go to the timeless, non-warp state. Correct? This is the waking warp. And in fact, if you go in the Aboriginal societies in Australia, they have a group of people called the Dreaming Society. And these people are lucid dreamers. They eat only certain few cactuses and very light food, Yeah. And they don't, because even though they say if you eat a heavy meal, you have dreams, but you have the kind of dreams you don't want. You have nightmares when you eat too much and go to sleep. Here they eat all kinds of, exotic sattvic foods and then cacti and very minimal things. And their job is to dream the future. That's what. Because they are able to see. It's like a neither waker nor sleeper nor dreamer. In Mandukya Upanishad it's called Ubhayata Prajna. That consciousness which is in between waking and sleep, waking and dream, that is the one which is neither dreamer nor sleeper, and it's little bit in the sleeping state, little bit in the waking state, that half awake thing. This is where they are able to prophesy the kinds of crops they should grow, what's going to happen. They have been able to lead their lives like this for millennia. Centuries they have been leading their lives. It's so fascinating. Of course, that particular set of dreamers it's not, there are very few alive today. 3 or 4 are alive. And they were interviewed. And it was very, very fascinating how they said that this is what. And then from their perspective, the waking state is unreal. Yeah. But of course, they fall into another problem. They think the dreaming state is real. You see? Yeah. But we have to get to if we are serious about Vedanta, we have to get to the place where the sleeping state is as real as the waking state. Yeah.
It is.
And the dreaming state is as real as the sleeping state. Why? Because I, like Ishvara, the universe cannot be without Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the universe. We saw that in the last verse. Similarly, I, is neither waker nor dreamer nor sleeper, but the dreamer is me, sleeper is me, waker is me. So the waking, dream and sleep experiences have no being without the presence of I, but that I is neither waker nor dreamer nor sleeper. Yes?
Yes.
No?
Yes. Yes.
Simple.
Mhm.
Yes?
Mhm.
So it's not conceptually difficult, but it takes time to assimilate. Conceptually, it's very communicable, because I have been able to, from your faces, communicate this to you. It's very easy to communicate. It's easy to understand, but it takes a little time to assimilate, because we live in this rational society which rewards the ego in the waking state. In the waking state is where I get approval. In sleep, even if you get approval, who is there to observe and say, oh, some people are talking good about me? Nobody is there to listen. Ears are gone. The person who has the ears are gone. Correct? Is gone. So the approval is sought when? In the waking state. The approval is got when? In the waking state. And in the waking state, also, paradoxically, is the non-self-approving entity. The grumbling, mumbling, fumbling entity emerges when? In the waking state. In the sleep, I have no problem with anybody else. You can be sleeping next to somebody you hate, you don't even like. You won't even know. Correct? And then, in the dream state also, there is, it's all falsified. Each state falsifies the other and it's easy to see it that the dream is not real when one is out of the dream. It's easy to see that sleep is not real when one is out of the sleep. But then how do I falsify the waker? This is a problem. Because in sleep is useless. You may as well cancel. Nothing happens. Correct? You can't. You have to write off sleep. Dream also you write off. So the only time where I am aware of myself is the waking state. And now you are telling me to falsify the waking state. To what platitude should I go to falsify the waking state? Because it's all a question of perspective, right? So if you're standing on a chair, then you can say, okay, the ground is, this far away. Then if you're standing on the ground, you can say, okay, the chair or the ladder is this high. But then if you want to falsify both, where you have to be hanging somewhere in the air, how? You have to be airborne, you have to skydive. What do you have to do? Where do you have to go? What is the answer to this? Where do you have to go to see that the waking state is also as though? What is that balcony seat from which you can get this perspective, you can get this understanding? How?
God or not.
Huh?
You know, when things happen that can't materially happen.
Where do you go? Where do you go sit? It's again like our two galaxies are merging. Where is the observer's place? This is where dhyanam comes to the rescue. What is dhyanam? Meditation. This is where meditation comes to the rescue. Because in meditation, I'm not asleep, you know. Maybe you are, but one is not asleep in meditation. That's the idea, correct? In meditation, you are not sleeping. Because if you want to sleep, just go to bed, okay? Don't meditate. But if you want to be awake to yourself, but not awake to the jagat, the world around you, not be bothered by it, then you go into a state of meditation. Correct? And in the meditation, what do you do? All the sights and sounds, it's not that you're not hearing somebody talking, somebody is mowing the lawn, rain is falling, bird is, singing. You're hearing the singing bird, you're hearing the child playing outside, all this you're hearing. But you choose not to be aware of it, correct? You let that go. The ears hear, but you don't let the mind chase after the sound. You let the ears hear, you don't let the mind chase after the sound, so the mind just resolves. You are awake. And what are you awake to? Yourself. This is one place where you are awake to yourself as neither the waker, nor the dreamer, nor the sleeper. It's just you. The world resolves in meditation. There is no world because you're not paying attention to it. You're choosing to not be the listener, seer, hearer, thinker. You're choosing to not be any of those things which the ego loves to be. So you are going back to yourself. You even observe the ego having a fit and then quietening down. Yeah. This is what is called mistakenly in the literature as the fourth state. Waking, dreamer, deep sleep and turiya. Turiya means chaturiya, the fourth state. It's not the fourth state. That's foolishness. It's the only state, it's the truth of the three states. The fourth state is not another, yet one more state. It's the truth of the three states. It's the content of that presence which inhabits the three states. I take some time every day to visit it and to be with it for some time. I have no idea of the time
Oh, yeah.
what time is it? 5 to? Oh, perfect. Thank you. So we still have a little time. So this is what we have to do, is to get to the place of knowing that presence, being with that presence that doesn't seek approval. Yeah. That doesn't need approval. That is the source of approving and accommodating everything, everyone. That which has no complaint. It is there. Don't say, where is it? It's so hard to find. In and through the difficult places to find, it is there. And the ego will have a fit. The more you meditate, it will say, don't meditate. You were better, I liked you better when you did not meditate. But trust me, is that in slow increments, what happens is that you get to the place of being more and more with yourself. And when you are with yourself, then that the strength of that presence is so powerful, so strong, that it is unassailable. That becomes more and more the reality, and the waking state is as though falsified. I don't have to deny what happened and cross off the waking state. I can inhabit the waking state, enjoy the waking state without it being a source of affliction. Yeah. This is what the whole thing is. In the Thanksgiving retreat, we will have opportunities to meditate. So we will do that. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Any questions?